Congratulations. We don't have victories anymore. Our country is in serious trouble.
In behalf of AKCDF and the struggling Filipino people, we would like to thank our good friends from Akai, Japan.
子供たちの望むものは散り染まった10年でなく眩しさのない豊かな世界分かち合える今の世界ボールで遊ぼう争いもない楽しい世界獲物のように振る舞わないで憎しみ合わず人間らしく子供たちの願いを聞いてその声が空に広がる聞いてくださいその歌声が語りかける平和の世界
So Payatas is divided into two. Center is beef. Lubang pangako. Yes.
自分たちでアレンジして
1日1食食べたとして大体
食べ残しのものあるじゃないですか、状況分かって、こういう状況
Takot ka?
Yeah, thank you very much.
We are very thankful to all of you. They're giving this for the children.
Bumalik kayo dito, walang katulong dito.
In behalf of AKCDF and the struggling Filipino people, we would like to thank our good friends from Akai, Japan, who took time to visit the Philippines to have a close encounter with the reality of the lives of people living in urban poor communities. And we do hope that when you go back to Japan, may the flowers of solidarity, love and compassion continue to stay in your hearts. Never forget that Japanese people, Filipino people, we live in one world, and it is our duty to take care of each and every one of us. So, long live justice, long live peace, long live international solidarity. Thank you very much.
Ang pangalan mo?
My name is Oscar Zialcita.
I've been thinking about it for a long time before it actually happened, and I was thinking of bringing people who I thought were kind of making a lot of waves here in their Filipino-ness, but yet have never been to the Philippines or left when they were still a little bit small. Al Robles never been there. Al Robles never been to the Philippines. Yet his poems and his images are all about our indigenous people and the carabaos and all this, and the food, you know, the patis and the fish head. And I was wondering if I'd bring him there, whether I was just wanted, you know, I wanted his reaction. And I made it a mission in my part, you know, from my personal mission, if I could, to sort of bring him there when the time comes. So they all were willing to come. But of course, when he died and didn't make it, I made it a point to bring people there that same year that he died. So I named the trip the Al Robles Express.
Second day we were there, I sought out my grandfather's grave. He's buried in the military, in the American cemetery in Manila. And I wasn't expecting, I had really no connection with my grandfather because he died during World War II, and you know, he was from the, you know, he's Irish Italian, so I really wasn't having this connection. But when I got to the American cemetery, it sort of hit me about what my parents went through during World War II. All this stuff that I grew up with and get hints about that they don't really want to talk about. It was like getting a real sense of what went on. I mean, for me, I mean, a deep sense for me to go and see my grandfather's grave there. I wasn't expecting it, but I started crying.
When we were searching for our relatives and wanted to touch base with any one of my father's relatives there in San Antonio, Zambales, we thought that finding a cousin would be, you know, just wonderful.
We didn't really deliberately formalize the whole trip. We went to speak in different universities because some of us were educators, some of us were artists, some of us were musicians, but we were all concerned, or at least conscious, of the different layers of Filipino-ness that was in us. We just didn't know how to bring it out, or we were curious in seeing what kind of things it would bring out of us by meeting the people and seeing the places.
I never had balut before, and that was a trip. It's not so much the egg itself, but the fact that I was on this tour for, I forget what town it was, and it's just that I felt so comfortable with the tour guide, and this kid came around with a balut in a plastic bag, and the tour guide was just going in and eating, and it just felt so natural, and I felt so much like I was with everybody else when I did that. And that was really one of the, believe it or not, one of the highlights of my trip.
So that was also another purpose of the trip, is for people, if they wanted to check out some relatives or they were curious about where their people came from.
And so they went back to the books, and this was at the courthouse, and they looked up other relatives. They came back to us and said, I believe that we have found your father's daughter. And I was just amazed because I had not had any contact with her. I had never met her. All I knew was I just knew about her. And I couldn't believe it because I thought she would possibly be dead because she was many years older than I. And so we went to her house. They escorted us to her house. And I remember when they opened the door and they brought her out in the wheelchair, I just burst into tears. We both did. I handed her the photograph of my father, and she just held it to her heart and cried. And I cried with her. It was just a beautiful moment. And I didn't think I would ever have that. I just did not expect that. That was so unexpected and very beautiful.
We said that, that's part of our mission is to wake up people about our stories, to tell our own stories, because we are inundated by the mainstream stories. They're all, especially you guys. Do you ever see, I asked them, Filipino story, Filipino-American stories on TV? No, you only see white stories, right? Because that's what most people around the world is when they show that. They have a distorted image of America, of the United States, because they only show the mainstream. So I said, we have our own story, so we're sort of fighting against the mainstream. And one of the teachers, poet there said, we're doing the same thing here. We're writing in Waray, but all we are being inundated by Tagalog and English literature. So none of our people in the Waray have the incentive to write in Waray anymore because they're not going to be published. They're only publishing Tagalog or English. So that poet and that teacher and I and our group sort of worked some project together so that we can keep alive the writing and language of Waray. In having a little contest, we'll help them fundraise here, and we'll pull our monies together so that we can have a contest of Waray poems, and at the same time they will translate into Waray some of our stories here. They're in English, but then they'll translate into Waray, and they'll take it all around the island and perform it in different stage shows, street theater. So they had a good idea. I said, yeah, I'll try to back you up if I can.
Now I want to go back, and I want to go to Baguio. I want to go up north, and if I get adventurous enough, I want to really go down south in different parts of Mindanao. It was a real worthwhile trip.
When I was born, my dad was 55 years old. When I turned 20, he passed away, leaving me questions I never got to ask. But now, I'm here to tell you his story. This is a story about my uncle and my dad, the two brothers who raised me. My uncle and my dad were both raised in a small town in the Philippines. My grandfather, a poor farmer, could only support them up to the 6th grade. Life was hard, I was told, as they helped their parents live off the land. As young men, my uncle and my dad got on a boat to work in Hawaii. With no money down, they worked off their fare, laboring in the sugarcane fields. After a few years, they saved enough money to try their luck in California, working as migrant farmers. Like nomads, trekking up and down California, the brothers picked and packed fruits and vegetables. They endured a lot together, including racial discrimination and all the challenges of the Great Depression. When World War II broke out, my dad joined the U.S. Army. He was one of the soldiers who stormed the Philippine beaches with General Douglas MacArthur. And that's where my dad met and married my mom. 4 kids later, I was born. 2 days after my birth, my mom died. My uncle, knowing my dad all too well, couldn't imagine him raising all of us by himself. So he tried his best to fill in the void. I would gain 4 more siblings after my dad married my mom's younger sister. And through the years, my uncle continued to help my dad raise all of us kids. And although I'll never know what it's like to hear my mom sing or feel her unconditional love, I'll always have loving memories of my uncle and my dad. Maybe I could become what they never imagined me to be. Someone who could tell their story. The story of the 2 brothers who raised me.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby.
Imitation, like your imitation love for me.
Uy, sangkay! So, kaya ano man, paliti ako. Baka didi para kabakitan.
Ano pag tiniliskopyo?
Gaway.
Uy, bata, may pasobra. Sige na la. Pira, usa, bibirahan. Anak gusto, rock, music, music. Sweet, rock. Bitahan lang. 50 taon, bibirahan kita, niyan. 25 la, 25. Parat pobre. Hala, it pobre, dumuok diri ha. Bayad, anay, bayad. Sigurado ini, bis pumadaplin, ihap pala, itakong inihap. Diri po, di Alin Rico idada.
Ngan may lima, ngan maya danunom, ngan maya dapito, ngan may walo, ngan may siyam na pulo nga kanan. Ngan maya daunsi, ngan may dusi, ngan may trisi, opo da katorsi, ngan maya da kinsi, ngan may
Magay-lahinay na ganlay na pagkabuhay kay mga ikalagas naman kami. Tama kung makuhan, mga anak na mga saliwan, waray na may iba. Pag-ubos.
25 malaking. Masa Bibero.
Ako si Fernando de Viñas.
Waray masim na po ak. Isanak mga babae makupay at pituan. Tingog na diri.
Kaya no?
Nakaawad man.
Ki Andi, si mubadha akon. Na, ti akon style nga pagkanta amo na ito't iya.
nga may ada usa, nga may ada dua, nga may ada tulo, nga may ada upat, may ada lima, nga may ada unom, may ada pito, ngan may ada walo, ngan maya da siyam na pulo nga tanan.
Unsi naman nga may dusi, ngan may trisi, upod ang 14. 15 naman, 16, 17,
Ngan may 18, ngan may 19, at tanan 20.
Nagpira ini.
Yung dagbutan.
May nagkakanta ng mga taga-Karigara, mga lagas. Siling ko, hunahuna ko, ingo, susubdong ko ba da ito? Kung makasubad ako, tikang-tikang ko kanta. Primero, makarawod. May usang nga nagpakaduha, nagpakatulo, nga may adan upat. Ilima nga may adan uno. May pito nga may wawalo. Sisiyam na pulo nga tanan.
Aman.
Maya dan usa nagpakaduha 180 lang gatos nagpakatulo uputan upat lima nagpakaunom nagpakapito nagpakawalo sisiyam pulo ka nga tanan pasobra. Deskonoy binagsira ang 20. Amin. Amo to tagindugang. An amin, nabutang ako, pasobra. Nagpakasipito, nagpakasiwalo, sisiyam, napulo nga tanan. Amin. May mga 5 na lang, anak na lang. Diri na damo. Damo mat namamalitaak. Ini nagbayad na. Ito, tulo hira, tulo. May dala ko bulad, may dala ko ipiktos nga kinilo. Oo, bibirahan. Ay dalat ako irihapon nga kinakantahan. Kay damo ito nakanta, hadto. Ginaganahan nat ako, kay kung nagkakanta gani ako, damo latit napalit. Nagsira ang 20 pasobra. Ay, kung di ako nagkakanta, baga man ako nalilipat. May usa nga nagpakaduha, nagpakatulo, upod na an upat, lilima. Mana Maria, iya na, simpa man kilagas ito yan, kinadaan gud niya ano.
Aray ka man.
Pero ako ito pagparisyo. May adaan 8, si Siyam, napulo nga tanan.
An mayada unangan mayada duha, an mayada tulungan mayada nupat, kanang 20 pesos la.
I thought that you would be a perfect lover.
Maribel Tijones.
Maria.
Ikaw na wa pa ka magbayad. Balik pa sunod.
Ang kasing-kasing ko narausugad na bilanggo, bisan ako na puro ko inaalpan hinkabido, an akon na bibilwan waray tawon na maaram, solaminti na maaram, kundi gawalay nagamhanan, maaram na guda kayo ay iwasan kanaran, ay iwasan kay nabago, hindi mo nalangin ngalimtan, huminal na tangkay ko, mamingaw daw wadan, upon ikaw na tangkayo, ang mawaran, yeri na daw, makikita, huminahal na tangkay ko, mamingaw daw wadan, ang tugon ko, minahal na sangkay ko, ayaw limot, dumagod man ako, kung makatara kain sang kay na bago, diri sa man tratamiento ko hay mo, diri sa man tratamiento ko hay mo.
Puro nga pagkinantahe.
Mawawayog ko ng
sandali, halos di ko alam. Naglalakbay ang diwa sa ligayang nakamtan. Gamot na bawal ay ayaw na niyang tigilan. Hinahanap-hanap niya at inaasam.
66.
Papadaragang kadakuan.
Sus, naiya na. 1965 pa. Masin mo po pagpapabula din uli.
Ako amo Virgilio Binying Mindiola Senior na nag-uukoy ha Barangay Barrio Kaboynan, Tanawan, Leyte.